Hi everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today I'm going to do my spoiler-filled talk of Words of Radiance written by Brandon Sanderson. This is book number 2 of the Stormlight Archive. So I've done this already with The Way of Kings, and this is just what I'm going to be doing with the Stormlight Archive. I feel like there's no possible way I can do reviews of these books. They're so long, there's so much going on, and there's 1,001 really great reviews of the Stormlight Archive with cool fan art. You know who I'm talking about. We've got Captured in Words, we've got Daniel Green, we've got Murphy Napier, all doing these like really amazing epic reviews. And I'm just here to be a part of the conversation and talk about this book. So if you haven't been a part of my spoilery discussions, they're really just kind of like random thoughts that I've had about the book. There's no rhyme or reason to what we're talking about. I do have some notes on my phone. Let's just start with some of my thoughts on Shalon. Luna, do you want to come hang out with us? Let's start about some of my thoughts on Shalon, because she is the main protagonist that we follow in this. I really enjoyed Shalon's past. And it really did give me, I guess, a completely different way of looking at her. In the first book, she's very fresh-faced. She just arrives in this city expecting not expecting, but she just arrives in that city, in that library, very naive. And I even think that, her journey to the Shattered Plains in this book, she's still pretty naive. But reading about her past, I don't know if it's like an act or not. I'm just like really taken aback by her past. So her abusive father and the terror that her brothers and her grew up in, yet she's always walking this kind of safety net with her father, was really interesting. And to be honest, I don't like abusive characters, obviously, but I would want to read from her father's perspective and like get more of an understanding of why he is this way. I mean, do we need to have that to advance the story? No, but just out of curiosity, like aside from like running his family fortune into the ground and feeling all of this internal pressure, is that the only reason why he's as abusive and as hurtful as he is? Each of the scenes were like, they cut pretty deep in terms of like, I felt for Shalon in the way that I didn't feel for her in the first one, which was obviously the point. The past between her and Kadin, like those two flashback scenes, I mean, both of them have been through the ringer, but I feel like where Kadin is like really single-minded and singularly focused on his revenge, Shalon, she has a lot more going on internally than she lets on. And I am questioning a lot of this like naive character that we see of her. Like, is she as bright and as bubbly all the time? Is it a face? Is that going to come back and bite us in the ass later on? I have no idea. Obviously, the killing of her father and the strangling of her father was, like, does she regress into this like really childlike personality as a cover for this act that she did and as her way of coping? I have no idea. But like, this bombshell dropped on us about her parents' death and the circumstances in which how they got there. I would like to see some more ramifications for Shalon because of it. Honestly, like internal mental ramifications, and see how she's coping aside from this like naive, everything's coming up roses kind of personality. It was kind of interesting seeing her pretending to be Yasna and her manipulation of the slave traders to gain their protection. But that was kind of like, for me, hearkening back to some of the annoying things that I find about Shalon. And I just can't pinpoint why I find it to be annoying. Did I think it was like really cool and resourceful? Yes. But just kind of this like bumbling around and stumbling and I don't know. It's really hard for me to wrap up my thoughts about her. All I know is that I've just kind of like got one eye out for her and what's potentially going on with her storyline because of this duplicity that we've seen from her. I feel like Adolin is pretty clueless. I liked his perspectives, but they weren't my favorite of the perspectives, but I think he's just like really clueless. It's not his fault, but I feel like the way that he was raised, the way that he's trying to win about these shard plates, like he is also being very singularly focused, but he's very clueless as to like the world around him that's not a light eyes nobility. And I would like to see some more growth from him as the series goes on, and I'm sure we will get that because we started seeing peaks of that in terms of like how he started treating Kaladin toward the end. Now he's very sharp in terms of like his observations of people, like he's wondering why Kaladin is so, he questions like what he's seeing about Kaladin, but why can't he also apply that to Shallan, aside from she's like really pretty and they're in a relationship? One of my favorite scenes was actually the scene that Adolin is fighting with Renarin, and they're losing the shard plate, and then Kaladin jumps in to save them after Dalinar is trying to beg of help. He begs of Amaran and doesn't get it, and then Kaladin is like, all right, I guess I'm the one. I really enjoyed that scene. So that was like a really cool reluctant enemies to friends kind of situation. Great scene. Great scene. But other than that, I don't think I really had a lot to say about Adolin. Let's talk about Kaladin. He's been very hot-headed in this book, and I'm really glad and sad that there were some consequences for him about his single-headedness and his hot-headedness. The fact that Syl ends up leaving him for part of the book, I was really heartbroken about that. Because number one, I was really concerned, like, where does Syl go? But it also leaves Kaladin without power, and I really enjoy when Kaladin does have power. His inner turmoil regarding the assassination of the king, I thought was kind of drawn out. Because I mean, in my mind, I knew he was gonna do the right thing. I mean, that's this guy's whole shtick. Like, he punishes himself constantly because he's trying to do the right thing. So I never for once thought he'd allow for the assassination of the king to go on. So yeah, that just kind of like dragged on for a little bit for me. He's still my favorite character though, so I enjoyed watching this new life of Bridge 4, and enjoyed seeing it through Kaladin's eyes and that kind of thing. Now, speaking of Bridge 4, did it make me super happy that they were still having their stew dinners? Absolutely. That just made me so happy. And the fact that they decided that they were all going to take Renarin in, so heartwarming. That's why I love Bridge 4. What else? Did anyone catch some type of vibe between Shallan and Kaladin? Was I just like picking up on something that has nothing, like there's nothing to pick up on? Am I just like putting the sexual tension onto them that's not there? Or was that there? You have to let me know. Because now in Oathbringer, I am going to be looking out for that. Even though, I like Adolin and Shallan, I do think that's a good match, but did anyone catch that tension after their journey through the chasms between Kaladin and Shallan? Just saying. Oh no. I thought I deleted my notes. Oh god. Okay. I'm flipping through my book because I, for the life of me, can't remember the name. Shonai. There we go. There we go. Yes, the interludes with Shonai were, I think, my favorite addition to this book. I'm always amazed at how impactful like the short interludes are to the whole story and giving me all kinds of different perspectives. And Shonai's perspectives in these interludes were my favorite to come back to. Oh, I loved hearing more about the Parshendi from their point of view. I wasn't expecting to get that point of view after The Way of Kings. Even though we get this big bomb dropped on us about the Parshendi, I wasn't anticipating hearing a story from their perspective, and I loved it from Shonai's perspective. It was heartbreaking to watch this change come about and ultimately lead the Parshendi into our final battle. Seeing the civilization, seeing the different forms that they take and how it's all a part of like the way that their society is ruled. I mean, just the short snippets that we get, I feel like I have such a big understanding of the Parshendi from it. It's so good. Shonai's war form was really scary, and oh god, it was so heartbreaking to see her go from one form to another, and how big of a change that had on the personality that we had come to appreciate and really enjoy. So like each of the forms that the Parshendi take like can totally and dramatically change their personality, which was crazy. I really enjoyed those interludes. So then when the Parshman from Bridge 4 leaves, he's called back. He reveals that he's not really a Parshman, that he is a full-blown Parshendi, and he just changed his form and kind of dumbed himself down as like a little bit of a spy. Great reveal. But then he comes back. He comes back and has a very large concern about his people because there is a change upon them. That was really good. That was really impactful. If you can't tell, that was probably like my favorite new addition to all of the characters that we follow, because we had been following Shallan and Kadin and Adolin for a while, that the Parshendi perspectives were some of my favorite. Now, Dalinar Kholin, let's not forget about him. I'm absolutely ready for Oathbringer, for the simple fact that he bonds to the Stormfather. That was wild, and such a cool, like, ending to the book for him, because like we spend so much time with him in his visions and the concern that we have about this countdown that's taking place and what does all that mean, but then, you know, just this really cool moment for him to try and take control, and he bonds the Stormfather. Super cool. Yeah, I am 1000% ready for Oathbringer and his perspective, and learning all about that, because I have really enjoyed all of those like character deep dives that each of the books takes. So the final battle scene, so cool. All right, the fact that Kaladin flew, awesome. Even though I knew that there were 2 whole books taking place after this one, I still got nervous about what the hell was going to happen to them, and the fact that we had the desolation, we had the storm come upon them, and this was like the first time that we really have characters in peril, aside from Kaladin in book number 1 when he's out in the storm. Sveth and Kaladin's battle, I was dying. That was just like the coolest freaking thing to happen to my main man, Kaladin. Now, Sveth getting a talking blade. We've already seen one talking blade from Warbreaker. Are they the same talking blade? And is this talking blade some type of Spren? Now I'm wanting to reread Warbreaker to like pick up on any and all of those like characteristics just from the blade's perspective. Yeah, that was really cool. And then the final thing in the epilogue, I had a feeling that Yasna was alive, to be honest, because, you know, what's like the main thing that you always know when you watch any type of movie or read any type of thing? If the character death is not on the page, if the character death is not on the screen, I have a hard time believing that it's real. So the mysterious circumstances of her murder on the ship just never sat right with me. It was just so odd, and like everyone's trying to make it super final, but I was like, I don't feel like we actually saw her die. I don't feel like I ever actually read that she died in front of me. It just kind of happened, and then the ship sank. So I had a feeling that Yasna was alive this whole time. So super happy that I was proven right in the epilogue, and that she is talking to the wit, and that they have a ton of work ahead of them. Now I think Yasna is so sick. Yeah, I think it's so awesome that she's already like expected with Wit. She's not surprised to see him there. That she's like, we got we've got work to do. We've got things to do, which is something that I just like appreciate about her. She just is no nonsense, and I want to see what she's up to. Whew, okay, let me know. Now that I have completed Words of Radiance, and who knows when I'll pick up Oathbringer, but I have a feeling it'll be this fall sometime. There's just too many cool things happening that I just need to read it, continue my reading journey with the Stormlight Archive. But let me know what you thought of the book as well. There has to be big moments that I completely missed talking about, so feel free to chat me up in the comment section below. Let's have a talk about this book and how crazy good it was. Alright, follow me on my social media if you want. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. It's at whatcassread. Same as this channel, super easy for you to find. Goodreads, that link is down below. And of course, if you want to support me on my brand new Patreon that I just launched, I have the information for you down below. So go ahead and check it out. And you know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.